Hello everyone, my name is Andrew and I am the 5 p.m. chef. I'm recording this on a Sunday, so if this is when you're watching it, have yourself a very nice Sunday. Just relaxing with a little bit of coffee and getting ready to cook. And as always, I'm cooking in my home kitchen. And today we're going a little bit different. I know I've been doing one recipe at a time, but today we're going a little bit all out and we're doing 3. Part of the reason for that is 2 of the recipes are actually really simple and take no time, but we've got to start somewhere, right? So today what we have a dessert, we have a beverage, and we have a main course. We're actually going to start with dessert because, well, who doesn't like starting with dessert? What I'm going to make is what's called a butter crunch toffee. Some people might know it as Skor bars or Werther's bars or Werther's Originals. It's a real simple candy. It takes a little bit of time to make, so that's part of the reason we're going to start with it. But you probably already have everything you need in your house already. So, without further ado, let's get going. Sorry I'm a bit scruffy, by the way. It's Sunday. And it's a day to relax and take it easy. So, in the meantime, let's get this started and let's get some cooking done. Alright, we're playing around again with cameras, we're playing around with angles, we're still trying to get everything set up here. We're still trying to get everything positioned. I've ordered cameras, now I'm just waiting for them to arrive. So, with any luck, next video will be a lot better. So to start off, like I say, we're going to do the butter crunch caramel. I have a pot here. I have my candy thermometer just to the side of that. One thing with whoop. See, we're really cooking because mistakes happen. When you're cooking, this is not going to behave, is it? There we go. When you're making candy, you have to realize that cooking the sugar to different temperatures will give you different types of consistency. Cooking it to a lower temp will give you a softer, chewier candy, whereas harder or higher temperatures will give you a hard candy. Because we're going for a crunchy candy here, we're actually bringing it all the way up to 300 degrees. So, while this is just sort of warming up, very simply, what I have here is a ½ pound of sugar that I've weighed out. And candies, yes, you should really weigh everything. Then we add, when I can get it out of the wrapper, I should have done this before, but oh well, it's real cooking. You add ½ pound of butter. And that just cooks on medium heat. It's not going to do anything for a while, so we just have to keep an eye on it. You have to be very careful when you're cooking with sugar. It gets really hot, and it is so easy to burn yourself. So use a thermometer, take your time, and just watch out for splashes. It's the last thing you want to do. While this is going, because like I say, it's going to take a while before anything happens, and sitting here and watching sugar melt is going to be a really boring video. So we can move on to our next video, our next item, which is going to be also a really simple one-dish dinner that everyone will love. Right there are just some nice hot Italian sausage. You can use whatever kind you want. If you just want to use mild Italian or sweet Italian, depending where you are. If you want to use bratwurst, if you want to use knockwurst, feel free. So in there I just have 3. I have some sliced onions and peppers that I cut up before. A few of you have commented, why don't I cut the peppers and everything on camera? And excuse me, I'm kind of taking it for granted that you know how to cut a pepper and an onion. If you want me to do a video where you see me prepping everything and cutting everything, where you see me, like, I'll show you how to cut the onions, I'll show you how to cut the peppers, but I'm just taking it for granted that you do know that. The other thing I'm going to do is add, if I can get them out, a few cloves of whole garlic. I don't want to crush this. I want it nice and mild. It's a background flavor. It's not the main flavor. The finer you chop garlic, the more strong and intense the flavor is. Keeping it whole like this is going to give off the flavor, but it's not going to be so overwhelming you can't taste anything else. We're just going to drizzle a little bit of grapeseed oil over everything. Trying to get that into the shot, but of course it's not going to work. The reason I use this, it's a neutral flavor. It can take the heat, and of all the oils out there these days, it is one of the better ones. And that's it. If you want, you can add a bit of pepper to it. I don't recommend any salt because there is salt in the sausage and everything. So we're all set there. This now goes into a 450-degree oven. And we set the timer on that for 30 minutes. We don't have to do anything to it. And of course, my timer is being really slow. Yes, we are experiencing technical difficulties. I told you, it's going to be one of those days. It's Sunday. It's one of those days where nothing's going to work. We'll take a peek on our caramels here. And of course, the thermometer wet. Well, we'll load that up after. Ever just have one of those days in the kitchen? That seems to be mine today. But you know what? We all have our good days. We all have our bad days. The thing is just, what do we do with them? So once again, this is going to take a little bit of time. The next thing I want to show, and I can't believe people go to places like Starbucks or Tim Hortons or whatever your local coffee shop is, and they go in and they'll spend $4, $5, $6 on something we all know as cold brew coffee. Cold brew coffee is exactly that. Just like when you're making sweet tea or just like when you're making iced tea, you start off with cold water. You add your coffee to that and you basically let it steep overnight in the refrigerator. It's as simple as that. There's no need to go out and buy infusing pots. There's no need to go out and buy any expensive equipment. There's definitely no need to go to the store to buy it. So all we do for this, I should have been a little bit more prepared today, but this video sort of just decided to come to me. I didn't actually have anything planned. It was just talking with people, and one person asked me for a real simple one-dish dinner. Thus, whoop, we got some bubbling here going on the sugar, so that's fine. I'm just going to turn the heat down on that just a touch. We don't want that to come to a full boil. If that boils over onto the stove, well, I need a new stove. So, for the cold brew, I quite literally have an old coffee pot that I'm using. Nothing special. No fancy equipment, as I said. I have some espresso ground coffee. I've added maybe 5 or 6 tablespoons in there. Don't have to be exact. And then you add your water. That's it. Starbucks, $6 a cup. Are you serious? That can stay overnight. Put it in the fridge. Leave it out. It's your choice. I like putting it in the fridge. I'm going to leave it there for now just because, well, I don't want to walk off camera too much. The advantages to cold brew, it's not as bitter as brewed coffee. I find you get a deeper flavor. You also get a lot stronger coffee flavor. It's a lot more intense. So you wake up in the morning and that 1 cup of hot coffee that doesn't seem to do it, 1 cup of cold brew should. The other nice thing is I find I don't have to add milk or sugar to it. I can drink it black as is, and I am a cream and sugar guy in my coffee. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is they go, well, I don't like cold coffee. I don't like iced coffee or whatever. There's nothing stopping you from taking this and quite literally just pouring a mug and putting it in the microwave for a minute, and there's your hot coffee in the morning. It works just as well, and you'll get all the same flavors you would as if you had poured yourself a cold brew. Once this is sat overnight, what I will do is pass it through a coffee filter, just get rid of all the grains, pour it into a pitcher, and it's done. This can stay in your fridge for 4 to 5 days. So normally what I do is I have 1 pot steeping and 1 pot ready to go. And I just keep filtering it into the pot, keep going. No point keeping a lot of extra pots and mugs and everything. So, as you see now, all the butter is melted. The sugar is incorporating into it. As you stir it, you don't feel it all gritty and grindy on the spoon. You can feel that it's getting a lot smoother. You can smell the butter. It smells so good. At this point, I also like to just add a little bit of vanilla. Doesn't have to be the great stuff. The artificial stuff works just as good in this. It's only a flavor accent. And we add 2 capfuls, so roughly 2 teaspoons. For those who don't know, the cap on a bottle of vanilla, as a rule, works out to 1 teaspoon. So instead of breaking out your measuring spoons, use the cap, save some dishes. Like I said, this is why I wanted to do a 3-in-1. To do a whole video on cold brew coffee would be a total waste of time. The sausage and peppers, as you saw, was really easy. It just takes the time to cook. It's the dessert in this case, that sweet butter crunch candy, that just takes a little bit of time to do. Now, if you're impatient or if you're careful, you can do it at a higher temperature. Just be careful and get yourself a good little candy thermometer. They aren't expensive. This one cost me $8 at Walmart. That's $8 Canadian, so that's probably what, $2.99 American. And you just look at the gauge, and it's really easy. When you're using a candy thermometer, try and make sure that it doesn't hit the bottom of the pan. The reason is the bottom of the pan is going to be hotter than the candy itself, so you want an accurate temperature. So, and once again, be careful because it is going to be very hot when you take it out. So I can see this is climbing up really, really fast. And what we're going to do is, because I don't think you want to watch a pot of candy boil right now. This is going to take about 15 minutes before it comes up to its proper temperature. So for now, we're actually going to stop the video and we'll come back when it's closer to being ready. We'll see you all soon. And here we are with a quick update. We're about halfway through the cooking process. We're up to about 180 or 109 degrees on the thermometer. And I wish I had better cams in this case to show you, but it's all nice and bubbly and frothy. It is starting to pour properly, but we still have to get it hotter. We're looking for that Werther's caramel milky brown color. So we're, like I say, we're about halfway there to the temperature. We'll keep going at it, and as we get closer and closer, well, we'll come back. Just want to let you see what was going on in the meantime. Okay, everyone, so we're back. Our caramel is getting darker and darker. You can see a lot more smoke coming from it. It's not burning, it's just getting to that stage. And I've started just holding my thermometer because while I was off camera, it fell off like 4 times. And I was telling you all how hot caramel gets, and I forgot my own rule and grabbed the thermometer with my hand and gave myself a small burn. Nothing serious, but guess what? When you're cooking, it happens. So, once again, here's where I wish I had better cameras, but you can see it's a nice light brown. It's that color of a nice Werther's. You can smell you've got that caramel smell coming through. So what I have here is just a baking sheet that I've lined with some parchment paper. And what I'm going to do is carefully, because you don't want to splash this on yourself like I did, you just want to get all of that onto your parchment paper. So there we go. Now I'm going to carefully smooth this out a little bit. You don't want it super thick because it'll be too hard to eat, but by the same token, you don't want it really thin because it'll just fall apart and you'll never be able to pick it up or eat it. Now, the other thing you want to do is don't touch that cookie sheet. I know it hasn't been on the fire, I know it hasn't been on the heat, but, excuse me, right now all the heat from that candy is going into that cookie sheet. So it's going to be super hot. It's going to be crazy, but that's going to cool down really fast, and you will be able to handle it soon. You can always check around the edges, and you'll see that it starts to cool. You can even see some of the candy on it. You'll see how smooth it gets, how glossy it gets, and you'll see it starting to pull away a little bit from the paper. Now, a really nice thing to do on here that's a little bit different is just coat it with some chocolate. And when you're coating things in chocolate, you want to do what's known as temper the chocolate. It gets a little technical and gets a little bit, I don't want to say complicated, because it is easy to do, it just takes some time. For now, I'm just going to leave it as a straight caramel, but when I serve it, I am going to serve it with some melted chocolate that people can dip it into. So that's already setting up. Like I said, I used parchment paper here. I didn't use wax paper. First of all, wax paper wouldn't take the heat, and second of all, it's going to leave wax on the candy. And no one wants to eat a crayon. They just don't taste good, do they? While that's cooling off a bit, we can pull out our sausages. They're cooking up really nicely. I want to do this a little bit carefully so I don't splash anything into our nice new caramel. We can see some of the peppers are getting a little bit of a char on them. Our sausages are cooking up nicely. I'm going to move them up to the top so they brown a little bit. And the reason I didn't flavor any of this, or season, I don't want to say flavor, that's the wrong term. The reason I didn't season any of this is because I know how much flavor is in those sausages, and I know that all that's going to go into the peppers and the onions, and it's all going to flavor each other. That's got about, believe it or not, another 5 minutes till it's done. So, our caramel here is coming along. I can see that it's setting up. Like when I move it, it's not moving around too much. I'm not going to touch that though because that's really hot. So there we go. I know this is kind of a weird video. I know it's not like my others where I'm showing you finished versions in the dishes, but we know what caramel is going to look like when it's ready, and I will put some pictures of it at the end of this video showing what the final product was like. Coffee, well, we all know what a cup of coffee looks like, I hope. And the sausages, I'll definitely include some photos at the end of this video showing you the final product. So please, everybody, I'm swap this cam over. Like I said, I'm still getting used to all of this. There we are. So like I said, everyone, enjoy your Sunday. To my Canadian followers, happy Thanksgiving, because it is tomorrow, so I hope you have your turkeys thawing. Till then, everyone, I am Andrew. I am the 5 p.m. chef. Again, thank you for visiting my kitchen, and until we meet again, enjoy.